The moment Ethan Carter stepped into his Bel Air mansion, he heard a voice he'd never expected to hear like this. His wife Brooke snarling at his 68-year-old black adoptive mother, Imani, as if she were dirt on her shoes. "Pick it up," Brooke snapped, pointing at a small towel on the floor. "And next time, don't walk through my hallway when I have guests. You make the place look cheap." Imani's hand shook as she bent down slowly, the cleaning uniform hanging off her fragile shoulders. A uniform Ethan never bought, a uniform she never deserved. Brooke stepped closer, lowering her voice but sharpening every word. "You're lucky I even let you stay here. Remember where you came from." Ethan froze behind a marble column, his jaw locked, his heartbeat thunderous, watching the only woman who ever loved him being treated like trash. If this already made your blood boil, tap like, and subscribe so you don't miss stories where justice finally wins. Ethan stayed hidden, breath tight in his chest. Imani tried to speak. "I didn't mean to upset you, Brooke. I was only..." Brooke cut her off instantly. "Don't talk back to me. You're not his mother. You were paid to take care of him. Stop acting like you belong here." Imani blinked hard. Try not to show the sting of those words. The woman who once worked double shifts to keep a roof over Ethan's head now stood there being reduced to nothing inside the house her sacrifices built. Brooke grabbed a small cornbread plate from the counter, the one Imani had made for Ethan's return, and dropped it straight into the trash. "You think he wants this?" she sneered. "He's a billionaire, not some kid from your neighborhood." Ethan's hand curled into a fist. Every memory of Imani's love, her long nights, her sacrifices, her strength, flashed through him like fire. But he didn't walk in. Not yet. Because to destroy someone like Brooke, he needed to know everything she'd been doing behind his back. And this was only the beginning. Imani stood quietly at the stove the next morning, tried to act normal, but Ethan noticed a tiny tremor in her hands, the kind she tried to hide whenever she didn't want him to worry. And across the counter, Brooke watched her with that tight little smile, the kind that only appears when someone enjoys having power they don't deserve. Ethan felt a cold question rise in his chest. How long had this been happening behind his back? If this happened in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you stand for fairness, hit subscribe. Imani poured coffee with slow care, the way she always did, the way she taught Ethan when he was little. Slow hands, steady heart. But today, even her steadiness was slipping. Brooke leaned against the counter, sipping her green juice like a queen surveying her servant. "Don't forget," she said lightly, "use the basement bathroom from now on. I don't want your hair in my sink again." Imani lowered her eyes. "The basement doesn't have heating, Brooke." Brooke shrugged, then bundle up. Ethan felt his stomach twist. He watched his mother's shoulders fold a little more, not from age, but from humiliation. The same woman who once stayed awake for 36 hours straight working hospital shifts just to pay for Ethan's first laptop, now being ordered to freeze in the basement of her own home. Brooke turned to Ethan with a fake bright smile the moment she noticed him. "Morning, baby. Your mom made breakfast. Isn't she sweet?" Imani tri-smiled without looking up. Ethan forced a breath through his nose. He needed to stay calm. He needed to watch. Because the biggest mistakes racists make is believing their cruelty stays hidden. And Brooke was making that mistake every single day. That night, Ethan sat alone in his private office, the lights low, the house quiet, too quiet. He opened the mansion security app, and as the first clip loaded, his heartbeat slowed, then stopped. Because what he saw wasn't just disrespect. It wasn't just cruelty. It was deliberate humiliation. Clip after clip flashed across the screen. Clip. Brooke tossing Imani's mail into a drawer Ethan didn't even know existed. Mail from old friends. Mail from doctors. All stolen. Clip. Brooke switching off the heater in Imani's room on a December night. Imani curling under a thin blanket, shivering. Clip. Brooke laughing with her friends over FaceTime. "She acts like she's part of the family," Brooke joked. "These people forget their place fast." Ethan's jaw clenched tighter with every second. But then came the clip, the one that made his chest burn. Clip. 2 weeks ago, his adoption anniversary. the most important date in his life. Imani had decorated the dining table with candles, peach cobbler, and a small handwritten card she made despite her aching fingers. Brooke walked in, took one look, and swept everything off the table. The cake, the candles, the card, all smashed onto the floor. Imani flinched but didn't say a word. She just knelt down and cleaned the mess alone, quietly like she was used to it. Brooke's voice echoed through the speaker. "He doesn't care about this. Stop pretending you matter." Ethan closed his eyes, fighting the urge to scream, to break something, to rush downstairs and throw Brooke out that exact second. But anger wasn't enough. He needed strategy. He needed proof. He needed to know how deep this went. Because if Brooke could destroy something that meant everything to him, what else had she been doing when she thought no one was watching? Ethan stared at the last clip again. Not because he needed to, but because something in Brooke's voice felt rehearsed. Too smooth, too confident. Cruelty like hers never exists alone. It spreads, hides, organizes. And he knew there was more under the surface waiting to be exposed. If you believe talent can silence every insult, share this video. And to everyone watching from the US, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. He opened Brooke's cloud sync, something she never bothered to secure because she assumed Ethan trusted her completely. Big mistake. Her messages loaded instantly, and there it was, a private WhatsApp group named Billionaire Elite Wives. Ethan clicked it, and the screen filled with messages that felt like poison dripping line by line. "Ashley, your husband is too soft. I'd never let her stay in my house." "Hannah, these old black women think they're family. They're not." "Brooke, don't worry. I'm collecting proof of her confusion. Once I have enough, Ethan will agree she needs professional care." Professional care. Ethan knew exactly what that meant. Institutionalization. A plan, a setup, a long-term removal of the woman who raised him from nothing. He felt his pulse thicken as he scrolled. There were photos too. A picture of Imani's small room. Caption: "She should be grateful she's indoors." A photo of Imani hand-washing dishes. Caption: "Natural position for her kind." Ethan's stomach twisted. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't an argument. This was organized, calculated racism being coordinated by privileged wives who treated cruelty like a hobby. And Brooke was leading them. He watched another audio note Brooke sent. "Once she's gone, Ethan will focus on me and our image. Right now he wastes too much energy on that woman. That woman, his mother, the only person who believed in him when he had nothing." Ethan exhaled, slow, steady, dangerous. Not anger, not panic. Strategy. What Brooke didn't realize was simple. She had just handed him every piece of evidence he needed to end her world. He copied every message, every photo, every voice note, every timestamp. And as he backed up the files, he whispered to himself, "No more secrets." Tonight, the balance would shift. And for the first time in months, Ethan smiled. Not out of joy, out of certainty. Brooke had built her cruelty on the belief that no one would ever catch her. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The next morning, Ethan sat at the breakfast table, pretending everything was normal, even though the truth was burning in his chest. Brooke moved around the kitchen with that fake sweetness she only used when she was hiding something, and Ethan realized she had no idea her entire plan was already collapsing. Brooke slid into the seat beside him with a soft sigh, placing her hand on his arm. "Honey, I don't want to stress you, but your mom has been having some episodes lately." Imani, standing across the table with the coffee pot, froze. Brooke continued, voice dripping with concern. "Last night, she almost started cooking at 3 a.m. She forgot where she was. It's getting dangerous." Ethan watched Imani's face fall, quietly, painfully, the way someone shrinks after being blamed for something they never did. Brooke wasn't finished. She also left the upstairs bathroom faucet running. "We could have had a flood. Maybe we should think about professional help." Imani swallowed, her eyes shining. She wanted to defend herself. She wanted to speak. But she didn't, because every time she tried, Brooke punished her later. Ethan knew it, and seeing his mother's silence hurt more than everything else combined. He set his cup down slowly. He forced his breath to stay steady, because this wasn't the moment to explode. This was the moment to let Brooke reveal everything. He remembered something Imani once told him when he was a kid, after he came home bleeding from school bullies. Baby, loud people show their weakness. Strong people show their patience. Patience. That was the key. So Ethan leaned back, pretending to consider Brooke's lies. Professional help? He repeated softly. Brooke nodded eagerly, thinking he was agreeing. I already researched the place, she said. They have a room opening this week. It might be perfect timing before your next business trip. Imani's breath hitched. Ethan glanced at her, just long enough for her to see the truth in his eyes. He wasn't fooled. He wasn't blind. He wasn't choosing Brooke. He was preparing the end game. Brooke smiled, completely unaware she was walking into the biggest mistake of her life. That evening, as Brooke came down the mansion staircase in her shimmering silver gala dress, Ethan stood waiting for her. Not with admiration, not with affection, but with a calmness so sharp it made her stop mid-step. She thought it was another charity night. She didn't know it was her reckoning. If this already made your blood boil, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss stories where justice finally wins. Ready to go, honey? Brooke asked, smiling the smile she used for cameras and lies. Ethan didn't answer. He picked up the remote and pressed play. The living room TV lit up and the first video rolled. Brooke screaming at Imani, calling her names, shoving her plate into the trash. Brooke's smile twitched. Ethan, what is this? He didn't speak. He let the second clip play. The heater being shut off. Imani shivering under thin blankets. Brooke laughing on FaceTime as she mocked her. Brooke stepped back. Ethan, this is out of context. He pressed play again. The peach cobbler. The candles. The handwritten card. Brooke sweeping the entire table onto the floor. Imani cleaning on her knees. Alone. Brooke's voice echoing. He doesn't care about you. Stop pretending you matter. Brooke's breath caught. She turned pale. Ethan, please. I can explain. You will. Ethan said quietly, but not to me. He tapped the screen once more. Now the WhatsApp messages appeared. The racist jokes. The photos. The captions. The plans to institutionalize Imani. Brooke grabbed her head. No. My friends, they weren't supposed to. They're not your friends anymore. Ethan said, you dragged them into this. They'll deal with the public fallout. You'll deal with me. Her phone buzzed violently on the counter. Ashley, Brooke, what did you do? The screenshots are everywhere. Hannah, you've ruined us. Are you insane? Ethan stepped closer. I warned you once, he said quietly. Never hurt the woman who raised me. Brooke collapsed onto the sofa. Ethan, please, we can fix this. I'll apologize. I'll change. Just don't ruin me. You ruined yourself, he replied. He handed her a folder. Divorce papers, financial freeze orders, lawyer documentation, and a notice stating she was being investigated for elder abuse and fraud. Brooke's face broke. You're kicking me out? Ethan looked at her without blinking. The car is outside. Your bags are packed. The life you built on humiliating my mother ends tonight. Brooke covered her face with shaking hands, every ounce of arrogance gone. For the first time, she understood what it felt like to be powerless. And she wasn't the victim. She was the consequence. The next morning, sunlight spilled gently across the backyard garden as Imani watered her roses, hands steady for first time in months. No basement, no cold room, no fear, just peace and the soft sound of life returning to her. If you believe talent can silence every insult, share this video. And to everyone watching from the US, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. Ethan stepped outside with 2 cups of tea, the same Earl Grey Monty used to make when he came home from school bruised and tired. He placed one beside her and sat down quietly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Imani watched a small bird land on the fence, her eyes soft but full, the kind of fool you only see in someone who survived something meant to break them. You didn't have to fight for me like that, she said gently. Ethan shook his head. No, Mom. I had to. You spent your whole life protecting me. I wasn't about to let someone take your dignity. A tear slid down her cheek, not from pain, but relief. You always were my strong boy, she whispered. And you were always my home, he replied. Imani smiled, a small, real smile, the kind she hadn't shown in far too long. Peace feels strange, she admitted softly. That's because you were carrying someone else's cruelty, Ethan said. Now you only carry your own strength. She took a slow breath, letting the air fill her chest. Ethan looked at her hands. Hands that once held him through nightmares, helped him with homework, bandaged his scrapes, shaped him into a man. Hands that Brooke tried to break, but failed, because love built on sacrifice doesn't shatter. Ethan placed his hand on hers. You're safe now, he said. Imani nodded, eyes warm. I know, because you finally let them see who I always knew you were. The garden rustled with a soft breeze, the flowers moving like they were bowing to her. And as they sat together in the quiet morning light, Ethan realized something simple. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't always public. Sometimes justice was just giving someone back the life they deserved all along. The world might forget what Brooke did, but Ethan never would. And Imani never had to fear again, because the boy she raised into a man of principle had finally become the shield she once was for him.